Hello there, everybody, and welcome to episode 81 of the Play to Win podcast. My name is Tyler. I'm your host this week, and I'm joined, as always, by my awesome host here, Mr. Tyler. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right, man. I'm doing all right. Light week. Told you pre-show, got the rain vibes going. It's a cozy Saturday. There's not much to talk about, but we'll make the best of it, and we got some fun games and just random. I joked about reset era topics, so we got a fun one.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun one this week because it is a light week this week. You know, we always talk about the week's biggest news through in-depth discussion. But this week, there's really not much news. I don't know what it is. Did the gaming industry just say, you know what? Halloween's coming up. We're just going to kind of tap out this week and just, do what we want to do, bask in the spooky vibes or something?
I hadn't thought about it from that angle, but I'm sure there's something to that. They know that there's weeks for the general public. Like, I mean, if you're trying to make a splash, if you're trying to get clicks or listens through specific, through the masses, I'm sure that there are certain weeks where it's just not as, not as smart to release news or whatever. So I think that's probably
season.
why. Yeah,
right after Christmas and everything.
Not to get ahead of ourselves, but Microsoft announced one good thing, but it's actually there's something that's not as good as far as their sales numbers go. So probably easier on a week where not as many people are listening to drop that news. And then CD Projekt Red, I do think it's interesting that, that we'll get there, but that announcement wasn't a few weeks ago when they had more announcements. So it's a little weird. But yeah, I think this may be strategic by a lot of companies.
Exactly. And he started to get into it. But before we fully get into it,
yeah.
Yeah, he's teasing it. He's teasing the topics out and everything. Before we get into them, remember, subscribe if you're on podcast services. Leave us that 5-star review. It's very helpful, very much appreciated. Hit the notification bell if you're on YouTube and also subscribe there. Leave a like, share the show with anyone and everyone. It is all greatly, greatly appreciated and helps out a whole lot. As Tyler was saying, this week, we're going to be talking about The Witcher getting a remake. CDPR announced that. Very surprising. I'm excited about it, though. Xbox, they dropped some more businessy type news regarding Game Pass and numbers and everything like that. We'll talk about that some. We're going to be playing a bit of a Halloween game that I came up with. We're going to make our own little gaming character survival team. It'll be interesting. Hopefully it'll be fun. I think it will be. And as Tyler said, we're going to kind of have ourselves a reset era thread conversation of sorts with a little segment I call Bring It Back. Thought about it for a few weeks. We'll talk about that when we get there.
If you're not a giant gaming dork, if you're someone that somehow, I mean, I guess it's possible that you're listening to this and don't know what reset era is, just treat it like basically that's a gaming forum. You can also just insert Reddit thread right there. That's also,
I was about to say essentially Reddit, but mainly gaming.
I don't go to Reddit, but
I go to Reddit every now and then, read random threads on there, but almost never for gaming stuff. It's very rare I go to Reddit for gaming things.
Yeah, my exposure to Reddit is those TikTok or YouTube shorts where it's just like occasionally I'll watch one and then they suggest like a million. I'm like, no, I'm good. But it's like the am I the assholes, where it's like, yeah, it's always the most ludicrous stories ever. And you're either like, man, either this is real and I feel really bad, or this is not real and someone was really down bad to just make this.
I like reading those with my girlfriend like every day or so. We read a couple or so. It's always fun. It's like, oh,
she'll show me some too. She'll just be like, you got to listen to this. And I'm just like, I don't know if this is real or not, man. I never know how to feel.
I never know how to feel either, but it always makes for an entertaining time just reading
it
those.
Does, yeah.
Like, man, people in the world are really this sucky. Interesting. Alrighty. What's not sucky is this remake of The Witcher that's coming from CD Projekt Red in Unreal Engine 5. They announced that this week, formally announced it, I guess you could say, because it was announced before, but we just didn't know what it was. It was codenamed Canis Majoris. That was one of the codename projects that they announced a couple weeks ago amongst the sequel to Cyberpunk, another Witcher trilogy, and everything like that. This was talked about then. Now we know codename Canis Majoris is a full remake of the original Witcher game. It is in development at the Polish studio Fool's Theory. Some veteran CDPR staff are over there at that team right now. And CDPR, they were like, hey, we know this is important to you all. So they are providing full creative supervision over this project. And they have confirmed that it's going to be time before they talk more like in detail about this game because it's still super, super early in development. But they do want to make sure that it is, quote, created with the utmost care and attention to detail, end quote. Now, Tyler, what is your relationship with the Witcher series? I've never played any of them. I've wanted to play three. I know it's super highly acclaimed and all. I've just never played three because although I know at the start of the game there's a thing where like you can choose decisions that were like made in like previous games and all like that. And I've heard that it doesn't really matter too much if you've never played Witcher 1 or 2. You could go into 3 without knowing much and still enjoy it. Me personally, I don't like to jump into like the middle or the end of a series without playing what came before. I like to have, that connection to it. So what's your relationship to the series?
So I hadn't even thought of this aspect. So my actual relation, playing wise, my relationship with The Witcher is, I've played the first like 3 to 5 hours, I think, like twice. And man, it's one of those games where like it's just I get bored so easily in the beginning. And I've heard this is a common complaint and that it gets better, but it's so hard to just like trudge through each time. And it's like I just end up, getting like, my brain, I don't know if you have ADHD, but at times it's like where you feel like the dog in Up, where you're just squirrel, and it's just like the next thing you know, and that'll be how it is with gaming. It'll be like, I swear the last time I played it, which was like in January, I was like, I swear, or maybe it was like March or whatever. It was like right after that insane onslaught of games. And I was
Yeah.
like, all right, I'm going to play The Witcher. There's nothing coming out. And then I found something to get distracted about because I got 5 hours in and I was like, oh my God, I'm so bored.
What is it that
And
made it so boring? Was it that it was just like really slow? It was introducing things at like a weird pace? What was it?
it's just not interesting. It was how it was. It's like, so I'll say that I'll comment on this is I would say that if you've never played the series and you're not like just innately in love with high fantasy things, it definitely treats the initial pace as a slow burn. And it's like I'm fine with the first hour or two being slow. I think it really is the fact that like it doesn't start cooking in hours 3, 4, and 5, that it feels sort of mundane. It sort of feels like, hey, like you're already fine with and you're comfortable with just kind of like languishing in this world. And it's like, I'm really not. I'm kind of bored because I don't have a big overall, we're not advancing the plot. Because I'll say, even in the first hour, at least you get a little bit of plot. You're like, okay, so I've got some motivations. Then it kind of quickly abandons that and is like, don't you want to run and do side things? And it's like, you haven't really hooked me enough. I'm not getting enough. And even though I'm doing the main story at that point, the main story is kind of based on side stuff.
Yeah.
Um, and it's just, I think it's like this specific part in a dungeon that's just kind of annoying, that I hit because the second time around I was like, yep, this is where I got the first time, and it was annoying. And then I got annoyed, put it down, and then just didn't come back the same way I did. But I wanted, and it's a series I wanted to like since 2. I'd never played 2, but ironically enough, after my 360 Red ringed, I came back, got a new one like a couple years later, just because I really wanted to play Witcher 2, and for whatever reason, never ended up buying Witcher 2. So
Yeah. Yeah, I've never played the second one. I knew of the second one when it shortly after it came out, but I think that was like a 360 only game, and I had a PS3, so I couldn't play it anyway. And
yeah,
then when Witcher 3 came out, I I obviously I knew about it when it first came out, but I think I wasn't interested in it anyway. Like ignoring just the fact that I hadn't played anything in the series before that. I just wasn't interested in it. I didn't become interested in it until, let's say, 2017 at the earliest, when I was like, wait a second, other games. Let me expand my horizon and all. And then
in its
that one was
in
there.
its defense, I am not high fantasy guy. Like I'm not inherently drawn to this shit the way some people are. Some people Skyrim, they're just like, I even have a friend Misha who's like, it's always funny when the people you least expect to be into high fantasy are into high fantasy. I think some people hear I like video games, whatever. They assume you're kind of a dork. And then
Yeah.
you're just like, I don't like high fantasy at all. And they're like, what? And I'm just like, yeah, man, it doesn't do it for me. Like, I don't care about things that happened 300, 2,000 years ago, whatever. Not my thing.
Yeah. So
Give me
Elder
sci-fi,
Scrolls.
baby. I'm team sci-fi all the way.
So Elder Scrolls 6, not for you. Starfield, you went on it.
You know, it's funny. I
On a
don't care
genre
for
level, a
Bethesda
genre.
games
Oh, gotcha.
because Starfield, that was when one, speaking of, I joked about one of the topics I was going to talk about later being a video. I've got a video where I was just like, Starfield, not that impressed. Sorry.
To
It looks bland. It looks boring.
each their own. To each their own.
Speaking of games that I was bored by, I'm just like, I'm gonna play Starfield. I feel like I have to. Man, that feels like something I might also be bored to tears by 5 hours in. Like, come on.
Hopefully not. Hopefully not. But bringing it back to Witcher in this remake, I'm guessing you're not that excited for a remake of the first one, given that you're not that much of a high fantasy person.
I've heard the movies, so I'm like, I if there's something that could lure me in, this could be it. This could be all right. Sink your hooks in me with the more story focused one. Maybe then I'll be like, okay, now let's play two. I also love retro games, so it won't be as big of a task for me. Like, of course, I'll hunt down a physical copy of Witcher 2 Assassin of Kings. So at
Right.
that point, if I can get lured in by one, but it's like, how far away is that? Would I rather just go and find two and play two first? I don't know. It's interesting because if it was out now and I could play it as soon as like we're done with the holiday rush, I like if it's coming out in February, that'd be like perfect.
Yeah,
But do I care in 3 years when it comes out is probably the real question.
exactly. Yeah, for me, I am excited because this, for me, I see this as my way to get into the Witcher series. I'm like, all right, the first one's coming. I can play the first one. But then I think about it, I'm like, but by the time like they make the first one, cool. Do they remake the second? To me, this says that they intend to make the second, but it will depend on time and the success of this remake here. How successful this one is, and then whether or not they have the time and resources afterwards to remake the second one. And if they do the first and the second one, at that point, would I want to go back to the 2015 Witcher 3? Probably like a decade later at this point in time to play that one. Like, that's why I'm like, do I just play the third one now and then the remakes? That way I have the full picture. I'm a bit torn on it myself.
You may not have the same issue I had when it comes to like if you're just like I got bored in Skyrim too, I'll be honest. So it was just like, listen, man, none of this seems like it matters. So maybe you'll just be like okay with a little bit more of the slow pace and the stuff that's like, oh, we don't need to advance the plot that quickly. But me, I'm like, nah, like, come on, man, let's chop chop. Maybe you won't have that issue. I will say, like, the story specifically of this, even though you're dropped in, I didn't feel like I had to know everything
Yeah,
if that story had advanced a little bit more. But because it didn't, I'm like, well, I don't have a reason I care about being here. So if you're fine with that, like I would say go play three.
yeah. I mean, people have said, well, people complain about not Witcher, Red Dead 2 having a slow opening, which it does, and I enjoyed Red Dead 2, an amazing game. People complain
I
about
so
Kingdom Hearts 2
I've
having a slow opening, and that's one of my favorite games of all time. So I mean, I think
the
I
difference
might be
is
fine.
Kingdom Hearts 2, and I'm not the Kingdom this is not Kingdom Hearts defender logging on. This is Kingdom Hearts criticizer logging on or anything. Kingdom Hearts 2, more of a justified slow intro, but it's like it
Thank
feels
you.
very purposeful, right?
Yes.
It feels like it's setting something up. Some would argue maybe the best part of the game. Versus and
Speaking it.
this is more along the lines of Red Dead 2's slow start. And I will, again, not the Red Dead 2 defender logging on. This is more the Red Dead criticizer logging on. I like that intro 2 more. And that's not to say I hate The Witcher 3 because I can't give a full opinion, but it has bored me more than either of those did.
Got it. Got it. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this. I think it's awesome that it is being remade because I mean again, the first Witcher game is over a decade old. It is very old. Janky as all can be by today's standards. I'm sure I don't based off things I've seen online, has not aged well in the slightest. In addition to just even being a pain to get and play today. So remaking that game, it just makes all the sense in the world. And Like I don't expect this to be out until
It's
2025
not
at the
coming out for a
earliest.
while.
Like 2025 at the absolute earliest is what I would expect for this game. And I mean, that might be a bit generous considering they have all these other projects that they're working on too, you know? So I do wonder, like, man, what's that pipeline going to be like? When is it
If
going to come out and all?
Yeah, if they hadn't announced like three other projects, I'd be like, oh, maybe 2024. But yeah, it's with everything else. It is kind of interesting though. Like, why announce any of this, right? I mean, talk about actual analysis of this because I feel like we haven't talked much about the actual, what does this mean or anything. It's just been like, oh, what do we know about The Witcher? Which that's fine. That's what this episode is. It's gonna get off the rails probably a little bit.
We're having fun with
But
it.
why announce this right now? I don't know. It's weird because on one hand, I kind of like when video game companies are just like, we're just making the thing. But it's like, I don't think this is something that if it leaked would have been a big loss. You know what I mean? So why not try and hold on to it and be relatively like make it a cooler announcement when you got an announcement trailer or something and something that has more of a concrete date? I don't know. I can see the arguments going both ways, but it also feels even more weird in the concept of you just gave a teaser name or a code name, whatever, 2 weeks ago or three
Yeah.
weeks ago, whatever, and then now you announce. I don't know. I don't know. Seems a
I'm
little weird, but
I'm with you on the latter one. Like I don't have a problem with them announcing saying early, "Hey, we are remaking The Witcher." I don't have them a problem with them saying that at this point in time, not like a bit closer to official release or whatnot. I don't have a problem with it being announced now. I do think it is weird though that we're getting this a few weeks after they announced all the code names. Because I mean, perhaps there's a more behind the scenes reason why they didn't announce it back then. But if you're gonna announce it so close to the code name stuff, I wonder why not just say, "Hey, codename Canis Majoris is a remake of the first game." Because if I'm right, that was they announced all that stuff as part of like an investor briefing. And if you're announcing this information to your investors, I imagine they would be pretty happy to hear about a remake of the first Witcher. So like,
one
I
would
it
think.
just one
One
would
would
think.
think.
Like they said that codename Orion was a sequel to Cyberpunk. They said that one of the others was like the start of the trilogy of a new trilogy that they were doing and everything. So I guess it's just weird that they didn't say that this was a remake of the first Witcher. Then they waited 2-3 weeks to say it now. It's just interesting. I don't think it's a bad thing necessarily. It's just an odd decision.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't have much more to say about it. I do have something tangentially related because it's about remakes. But
Yeah.
if you want me to save it for, because it could also fit in, bring this back. Um, I can, but it's remake related. So I'm like, now that we're done with the segment, do I spout it off now or do you want me to wait?
No, go throw it in right now because we're talking
All
about
right.
remakes
All
right now.
right.
Throw it in right now
Real
after
quick.
this
Cue the
segment.
TikTok camera. Listen, Konami. Said some mean things about you last week. But all this could go away, and I could be surprisingly pro Konami. Just give us fucking Metal Gear Solid as a remake. I've never played the first one before. Instead of playing it on my PS1 or PS3 via PS1, just give me a remake. We're remaking all this shit that nobody wants. Just give me a Metal Gear Solid remake, so that way I don't have to bust out the PS1/3 to play it. Okay, I make it easier to access. Doesn't have to be like okay. Actually, we want ground up. Don't just upres it because that game will probably look like ass upres. But come on, man.
I
Silent
mean,
Hill. Silent Hill's not even going to sell that many copies. And no offense, Silent Hill, but come on, Metal Gear Solid will sell like a mill. Metal Gear
ooh,
Solid will just print that. It's more popular than Silent Hill. I'm just going to say it.
you're not wrong. You're not wrong. I just
Plus,
know
aren't
that
you
every Silent Hill fan just like, what do you mean Silent Hill's not going to sell a lot?
Konami? Aren't you mad at Kojima? What would make him more mad than just
I mean,
putting out Metal Gear Solid, putting out his baby? That'll piss him off.
there's the rumor. There is the long-standing rumor that Blue Point is doing a remake of Metal Gear Solid.
I don't believe it. I
I
this is
don't
a plea to get a
necessarily.
different studio to do it, not because I don't think Blue Point's great, but because in my heart of hearts, it's too good to be true if it's Blue Point. So it's probably not happening. So I'm like, come on, just get someone to do it. I doesn't have to be the world's best one. Just give me one.
I can go either way on believing it. I'm of the mindset of wait and see. Whatever happens, happens. I don't have a horse in the race. If it is Blue Point though, that's great for that game. That's great for that game, and I'm sure fans will be very happy with whatever
I think it'd
ends
be
up
a
happening.
slam dunk. Is it them? I don't know. I want it to be them, but especially because they put out games relatively fast. But in my heart of hearts, I don't think it's Blue Point.
Neither do
It's a
I.
bummer. But just make it, Konami. I don't care if it's not Blue Point. Who cares? Just make it.
I love those rants. I love these rants from you.
I, it's just funny because you were just talking about The Witcher, and I'm like, you know what they need to remake, and then I was just like, all right, I've got a bit here. I just gotta wait.
I have one. I'll save it for maybe not a remake, but it could get remade. I'll save it for another conversation though, another day.
Okay.
Let's talk Xbox now. We had a bit of a conversation, not a conversation, but I guess like an interview of sorts from Phil Spencer this week, speaking at Wall Street Journal's Tech Live conference, and it's really talking about Game Pass and really Game Pass mainly, but there's some more broader Xbox related stuff talked about there as well. And this conversation is going to be real like numbers based and all like that. Let's get into this. Let's start with Game Pass first off. Game Pass, greatest deal in gaming. I don't think anyone can argue that. It'd be very hard to argue that point. Really awesome service. Apparently, according to Microsoft, as of now, it makes up 15% of Microsoft's gaming revenue. And Phil Spencer expects it to stay around the 10 to 15% range, making the service profitable for the company. So, at long last, the conversation, the talking point of is Game Pass profitable? Is it profitable? How is it profitable? It's dead. It's done. It's officially profitable. I see some hesitation on your end.
I mean, I don't doubt that like gross number versus gross cost equals like more than, you know what I mean? I think that's like in a vacuum true. I think the kind of like they buried the lead here, which is like that it's actually like falling short of their sales goal is kind of like a good counterpoint in kind of to what a lot of other people are saying. Now I know a lot of what the opposites saying here is just a lot of Sony fanboys just being like, "Oh well, it's never going to last," but then there is some genuine, like worry that this isn't going to last forever, and I think part of that is like what we're seeing now is when you're going the Amazon model, when you're going the Walmart model, yes, it's profitable, but it's profitable with razor thin margins, which means you have to have a lot of people. And I think them already falling short of the goals for subscribers, etc., is key. And I think Xbox at the time, like I'm guessing the board, the members that are like probably mad about this because this is capitalism, man. They want like I guarantee you there's some like they're making it like it's not a big deal now, but I guarantee there's people inside there furious about it that they're not meeting those goals. And I'm guessing Phil Spencer's like, wait, let's see the vision because he's imagining like game after game just rolling in monthly and like that's our platform. But games are so hard. They're not movies. You can't put those hard caps on when games will come out. And I think Phil is understanding to his credit. I think he seems like a genuinely great person. But I just like if the vision's not exactly what they're expecting, if it doesn't go off as smoothly as planned, there's going to be these pockets, these months, and what is that equation where it's like X amount of months not hitting X amount of goal, et cetera, is not enough profit to where they abandon this platform or just start, upcharging it by a lot. Because I don't think, it's profitable means that they're never going to raise prices. I just think that part I do believe is just disingenuous.
Right. And you kind of touched on like 2 points that we're going to be getting to already. One is the growth of Game Pass on console specifically. On PC, according to Phil Spencer, the growth is like been really great. It's amazing. He says specifically, quote, "We're seeing incredible growth on PC. On console, I've seen growth slow down mainly because at some point you've reached everybody on console that wants to subscribe," end quote. Which is, of course, It's inevitability. It's obviously going to happen at some point. um I do think that, you know, the their growth number for console will increase, you know, as more consoles are sold. Obviously that's going to happen, but I do
Yeah.
think that
Yeah, for
like
sure.
Xbox, they're good. I think that Xbox this generation is going to, I mean, the pandemic has thrown things out of whack entirely. So what their sales numbers would have been or could have been is not going to be what they end up actually being. But I do think that they're going to have a sizable like growth and increase in terms of overall console sales for this generation as opposed to last generation because of things like Game Pass, because of these acquisitions that they've been making. They've been making these acquisitions to bolster Game Pass, to bolster their first party lineup so that they're able to be able to put out more games, more first party games specifically on a consistent basis, and, you know, give their Game Pass subscription service um a a steady drip feed of content, a steady drip feed of quality content specifically, not just, you know, your random game of the week or whatever. And that's why we've seen that they kind of they didn't reach their target goal for this year. Um, their target goal for this year for Game Pass subscriptions was 72.88% target, right? And they fell short of that by a whole lot. They only reached 28.07% growth number for Game Pass subscriptions. And that's that was expected to happen for sure when you have a year where Starfield got delayed out of it. Your only big games this year, actually, I don't think they had any first party games come out this year. I don't believe so. They like
Trying to
last year
think.
you had Forza, Halo, and Microsoft Flight Sim on console, or it was, I think Flight Sim was on PC last year. It came to console this year. Um,
I think even more crucially, like they've been missing kind of those third party ringered in like day and dates because like I played like I didn't play Halo, or I mean I played Halo, but I didn't play like Forza or anything. But I did play Psychonauts too, like day and date. And like they're in Death's Door. That game's amazing. And I played that day and date. And it's like it's missing that. So I haven't been subbed to Game Pass for like 5 months now.
Yeah, like there have been, I think the big third party day and date games they've got this year have been
Oh, they have
oh,
Requiem.
Requiem, which getting great reviews and everything. There was, what was the one that came out earliest here? Rainbow Six Extraction, which, eh, response right there. Forgot about it entirely. Was Outriders this year? Or was that last year? Depending on whenever that was.
I think the update might have been this year.
Oh yeah, that's right. It was the World Slayer update this year. Last year was the full game. So yeah,
And yeah,
I
I played that. No, actually, I bought that on PS5 because I didn't have an Xbox yet at the time.
got it. And then Persona 5 just came to Game Pass, which play Persona 5 Royal if you have not played Persona 5 Royal. It's an amazing game. Um, so yeah, like there really hasn't been, as off the top of my head at least, many big third party day and date releases this year as well. And again, part of, like, you can chalk that down to them not being able to make the deals, but I think you can also chalk it up to just this kind of being the year where the effects of the pandemic really hit certain game releases, and a lot of stuff has gotten delayed to next year. So this year has been a giant backlog slash indie year for a lot of people. So it kind of, it's understandable why they missed their growth target. And I imagine that next year is going to be the year where they see a good amount of growth because you have Starfield, you have Redfall, you have
Yeah, I think.
like more other first party
Mhm.
games that should be coming out next year. Forza Motorsport should be coming out next year. That's just the things that we know of, you know?
I think I think two things can be true at the same time, which people kind of try and act like operate independently of each other. Or one, this shit is hard. Like it's hard to um like underestimate or understate. Sorry, looking
Yes.
for the right word there. Understate just how unique video games are, and I think this is inherently the problem with treating video games like Netflix. Like that's just antithesis to what games are. They're so individually unique and to treat them like they're just this rolling service, a profit, not only feels gross, but I just think kind of misses what people want out of video games, outside of the exceptions. Like, yeah, Apex does what it does, so does Fortnite. Those are the exceptions to the rule. They are not the rules. And then two, like we can understand that it's hard, but at the end of the day, like, and we can be like, oh, okay, that's fine, but that still probably isn't going to stop people from unsubscribing. Like, they'll be like,
Of
oh, I
course.
get it. You can sit there and explain, like, oh, well, this is why. Phil Spencer can be like, this is why X and Y and Z didn't happen, and all of us will be like, yeah. Also, you're not getting my $10 a month because I like there's nothing here to play, you know.
Right.
And I think I you've seen Netflix and you've seen all these subscription services stop handing out free trials. Crack down on sharing, even if people still do it, but they're cracking down, making it harder, making you jump through more hoops because we're not dumb. We all set reminders on our calendars to stop these services when we don't want them and everything. And I think so much of Microsoft's business model or Xbox's business model with Game Pass is built into like, we're going to want to stay forever. And it's like, well, what if that doesn't happen?
Yeah.
And it feels at times like this, even if they're trying to spread optimism, and I swear I'm not trying to intentionally, spread negativity here, but it's like, okay, but what if this doesn't go to plan or all go as planned? Like, what happens then? And I think, just like look at history of capitalism and big companies when these kinds of bold plans, which I respect Phil for it, but at the end of the day, if the vision doesn't work like he's trying to, then what happens to the Xbox platform? Essentially, he can be right about the future of games while also hitching his wagon to the wrong team, essentially, or the wrong, not even team, but the wrong specific platform. It's like streaming and all this could be right, but Game Pass may not ultimately do it because of the logistics.
Right. And that's actually a nice little segue, I think, into the next topic I want to hit on in regards to all this Xbox news that we have here. So, but Phil Spencer also ended up talking about Xbox prices potentially increasing at some point in time. He didn't specifically say console or whatnot, but Xbox related prices may increase at some point. His quote specifically says, quote, we've held price on our console, we've held price on games and our subscription. I don't think we'll be able to do that forever. I do think at some point we'll have to raise some prices on certain things, but going into this holiday, we thought it was really important that we maintain the prices that we have, end quote. And honestly, this has been in my head an inevitability for various amounts of time. In terms of Game Pass subscription increasing, that's always been an inevitability. Like, there was no way that they were going to be able to keep it in my
Yeah,
head at $15 and keep offering the quality that they have been, like, just forever. Like,
never
there
gonna
was
happen,
no way,
folks.
especially with the acquisitions they made with Bethesda and soon to be potentially Activision Blizzard. No way it was going to stay at $15 forever. Um, in terms of games staying 60 and not hitting 70, it's good. It's eventually going to hit 70. Like, I doubt that there will be a future where every single one of their games stays 60 in perpetuity. Like, the industry is moving towards the future where some games are 70, some games are 60, and eventually I'm sure all will be 70 at some point in time. Like, it's an inevitability. They're just trying to hold it off as long as they can. In terms of their console, that's been more of a thing where after Sony raised the price on theirs $50, I'm saying dollars just for simplicity's sake, worldwide, then it's like, okay, I can see Xbox going either way on it. Because I mean, Xbox is owned by Microsoft. Like, Microsoft has Microsoft money. They could afford, I'm sure, to not raise prices in the face of inflation. But at the same time, I could see them saying, let's try and hold out the holiday season. Let's try and have this good PR right now and say, oh, we're not going to raise prices. We don't have plans to do it. And then 6 months later, and we're raising the prices because the holiday season is done now. Here you go. Big bam boom.
This is like, this is my Joker moment. No, like, you can't. It was never about don't give. To me, this was never about don't give Sony shit for raising prices. But this is why you don't pat companies on the back for doing the bare minimum when it comes to like, oh, we're not raising prices. That was nothing but good PR, man. If you didn't think this was happening eventually, I'm sorry, you're stupid. Like that's it. This was going to happen, and you're falling for this oldest trick in the book. And I don't know. Is it materially good for us that Microsoft doesn't raise prices? Absolutely. But also like don't stop fooling yourself, man. These companies do not care about us. Like they are 100% going to raise prices when they can. And yeah, so this is like, okay, company's gonna company in my mind. Like there's nothing shocking when you see this stuff. It's just annoying because the discourse is always like, it's the discourse of Xbox good guy. And it's like, these are companies. They're not good guys, man. Just like, I love Sony. It's bullshit that they're raising the price of PS5s. And I like Sony because I like, the property, the nostalgia associated with it, X, Y, and Z. But man, I'll never let that lie to myself. The same way I can give, Xbox has done objectively good things, pro consumer, but it's all in the name of trying to create those established neural links I have with other people. They're just trying to get us all to like the Xbox brand.
Right. It's like, it was so interesting when like the Sony stuff came out and like I even said it on the show with Kieran, where it's like, we understand, inflation is a thing, things are more expensive. We understand all of that. It makes sense why you're doing it, but it's still not a good look to do that at all. It's like to raise the price.
And
it's
also
not
the
a good
tech's
look,
older, man. Inflation is
right.
real, but your tech is older. It's not the same console it was 2 years ago.
Right. So it's like it's not, we get the reasons, it's just not a good look in any way, shape, or form. At least, and like I'm giving them a bone here. At least they didn't do the Meta thing and raise the price by like a full $100, like the Meta did with the Quest 2 for their different. Like that was just like
that was a big one.
That was ridiculous. It's only 50, which not too bad, but still not a good look in any way, shape, or form. The only one I actually believe would never isn't going to be raising the price is Nintendo, because they intentionally price their things a specific way. I don't believe they would raise the price at all. But I mean, if it happens, whatever, it happens. Xbox.
Also, people will riot if they raise the price on that old ass tech.
People would riot, but they would still buy it because Nintendo gets away with a lot of stuff. Like let's
do, yeah. Objectively, they do, because that same nostalgia connection some people have with certain brands, they've got it with everyone. So
yeah. Question before we move on from this Xbox stuff here, and honestly, this might be kind of the end of the Xbox conversation. There's two other points, but we're not really much to say about them.
We've talked ad nauseum about this. We've somehow gotten a lot of mileage out of this relatively light week.
I know it's fun. I like having these like in-depth discussions like this.
Like I said, it gets off rails. That's what we expect.
I don't think I've ever asked you before on the show, but what do you think they would raise the price of Game Pass to? It's $15 right now. What do you think it would go to?
It's a tough question. I think 20 feels right. That's like in my bones. I feel like it'd be 20, but I also wouldn't be surprised. I think the more insidious bump would be like the $3 bump. The 18, it's not even 5. Hey guys, just a little bit, it's that $2 to $3 shit that really is like the truly, because those will happen more often than the big price point jumps. Because I feel like on a long enough timeline, if you do $5, it's got to be a while before you jump again. But you go 18, now we're going to hit 20. But then next thing you know, it's 22. And then the next thing you know, it's like you're at 22 before the 20 ever jumped to like 25. I wouldn't be surprised if their like goal internally was like, listen, if we're essentially putting out a brand new game every 2 months, or like maybe the goal is a game a month, but maybe it's every 2 months. We want essentially Game Pass to cover that cost in 2 months. So we want it to be, their internal goal is like, hey, we want it to be at $30 to $35. Like, if you think I'm crazy, I promise you there's some kind of internal memo that says something like that.
That is promise wild. 30 per month? I don't know.
Because you think about the logistics. They think of this in terms of how long does it take us to equal buying a game? I promise you that's how they think of it. I'm not saying that'll be within a year. I'm saying like that's what the goal is to get to, probably before this generation is up. I think that the pushbacks in game, like when the games are coming out, has actually cost them not only money, but I think it's cost them some of those price jump updates. I don't think they've been able to do it, and they need the goodwill of staying at that price point. I think the goal was probably to already be at $20 an hour. Like that
That
would be gun to my head. They thought Halo and kind of like this rollout of Starfield and everything meant they could get there. Because they haven't been, I guarantee the CEOs are mad.
I don't believe that they would have wanted to be at $20 right now because they've still been in
Listen,
that
if you
growth.
think that, I've got a bridge to sell you.
They've been in that growth period for a while of like just trying to get as many subscribers as possible. And even with Halo, right? Even with Halo coming out when it did, and even say Starfield came out this year, even if those two things happened and went off without a hitch, I don't believe, and let's throw in Redfall as well, because Redfall I believe was supposed to come out this year too. Let's say those three things happen. Even then, I don't believe that they would have been like, and $20 in 2022 or 2023. I don't think they would have done that because they know that $15 is the sweet spot. It's cheaper than the standard subscription for Netflix. It's cheaper. Wait, no, I think it's the same price. No. I think actually now that it's been
Netflix is
raised.
like $20, I think now.
Well, that's for
I
the
think there's a
premium.
super cheap option, yeah, where you don't even get HD.
No, the premium Netflix with like 4K Ultra HD and everything, that's like $20. But the standard one, 1080, and like being able to watch on two screens at the same time, that one I believe got raised to like 16 something recently. Um, but I think it's about the same price or a bit more expensive than like Hulu without ads. Like the $15 is a sweet spot for what we're getting, especially in the games space and just in the entertainment space as a whole, because it's not just competing with games now, it's competing with all types of streaming services. I feel like their next goal is going to be like 17 or $18, like you're saying. And I do believe eventually they will hit 20. I don't believe that they will hit 20 for at least 5 years though, because they're going to want to try to stay at the
I'll
price
do
that they're at.
We
Well,
can
they're
do
going
a
to want to
dumb
try
bet
to
if you want. I guarantee you they'll be at $20 by the end of next year. I would bet my life.
$20 by the end of next year.
$20. I promise you what. So if they go 18 first, my bet would be that before the end of like that first quarter of 2023, they'll have initiated the second price hike. But in my gut, I think they go 5 at first. I think for the short term, because they've had losses, I think they want the more, even though it may mean they can't raise that second bump for a while, I think they're going to want the short term gains of the $5 bump instead of the minimal $3. So my bet would be, yeah, I'll go. I'll just, even though it's like the technicality of it is that I think that by like March of 2024 for sure. But I'll just say to make the bet even, like I would bet, I'll do a bet that yeah, it's at $20 by the end of 2023.
I don't believe it. I don't. I think we have a price. I think there is a price raise, and I can see a price raise by the end of 2023. I don't believe it's twenty
Five
dollars. I believe
five
it's
years?
17. No, I'm gonna dial back the 5 years thing. I'm gonna
I
say
bet my life that in 5 years it's at $30. And I don't think
nah,
that's close.
nah. I'm thinking 17 or
Hold
18 is
on.
the first
On that
one,
note,
and the reason is just Starfield will come out, Redfall will come out, maybe one other game will come out. The Activision Blizzard acquisition would have closed by then, ideally. So then they're gonna be like, all right, with all these new things coming, we have to raise the price a bit. Cool. People could accept like 17 or $18, but I highly doubt people would be like as accepting of $20, no matter how good Game Pass is, without seeing that quality of first party games coming to Game Pass. Like if we're paying $20, what am I paying $20 for if we're not getting first party games on a somewhat regular basis? And at that, they need to be good first party games. So Xbox knows that they're gonna need to show that before they could just do a giant $5 price increase. I'm so positive on that, which is why I don't think that'll be the first price hike. I think the $20 comes at least after we've gotten a fair chunk of these like big games that they've been talking about from these acquisitions. So like Fable, like Contraband, like Avowed, like whatever the heck is going to be coming for Halo in the next, however many years and so on and so forth. After Activision Blizzard gets announced, whatever they put in Game Pass from that too. I think $20 comes, it's about to be 2023, maybe 2024. That might be pushing it though. I think 2025 is when we see $20 at the earliest.
2025.
At the earliest. That's what I'm thinking.
You're It will be a $30 in 5 years. I'd bet my life on that. I'm telling you, that's how they want price increases.
You're saying
It's
30.
$2.
You're
It's
saying
$2.
30. Okay.
It's $2 to $3 every 8 months, 9 months, 10 months, and they can bill it if it works. If the vision works, my counter bet would be: do they have a new strategy in 5 years? Because I think that's also like I would put a little bit of money on the $30 in 5 years, but I'd also put some money on they've just abandoned the strategy or had to severely alter it. Because if the vision doesn't work, they can't keep upcharging without people getting mad, and then it's like this wait. But 5 years, man, no. Like I know that the price we pay for games has been such a slow drip because of everything. But especially, we assume there will be a new generation of consoles in 5 years. I think probably right. That's fair to say. That may be right around when we're having them. They will absolutely crank up the price of that thing. Like if you think they're letting us get into next gen for anything less than $25 an hour, I have a bridge to sell you.
No, once it comes to next gen, that's a different story. And I wasn't picturing next gen as being 5 years from now. I think this generation is going to be a long one. Like, I mean, I think the next generation could be 2027 at the earliest. And if
I
it
think
is, then
that's the
I could
latest.
you think that's the latest for it?
I think the goal was for this generation to be a shorter generation because of the way technology updates, because of the iPhone model, et cetera, et cetera. I think the pandemic has pushed that back. So I think maybe we see those extra 2 years potentially roll into what I would assume would be an original plan for a 5 year gen. So maybe it's 7 years now, but I think we absolutely get consoles by 2027, which I'm not mad about. It's 5 years from now. That's like a ton of time.
I can see it. I can see that happening. I don't think that'd be the latest. I think in my head, just for me, I think that'd be the earliest. But I do agree that when a next generation comes around, the price would increase again. I don't believe, depending on how Game Pass is going, depending on how Xbox is going, that price increase may happen at the start or it may happen like a year into the next generation. And whatever the price is before that increase, if it's $20 before that increase, I could see it going up to 25. I could see that happening. Like a new generation, new costs, so on and so forth. Time to bump things up a bit more.
If we don't, if you're saying that's the earliest, you are predicting. So this again, just mathematically, you are predicting if it takes any longer than that we have the longest console generation cycle ever, between launch and release. And you're saying that at a time when technology advances quicker than ever.
I'm saying
that is bold, my friend.
What was, hold on, 2012?
I just looked up all the release dates. That's what I'm saying. It was 06 to 2013 and then 2013 to 2020 were tied for the longest. It's 7 years in between PlayStations. I'm going off of PlayStation cycles here. But I think Xboxes are even slightly shorter.
Xbox was 2005 to 2013 for the 360 to Xbox One. So that was 8 years.
So they have 8 years.
Yeah. So
actually, yeah, because they waited the extra year with one.
Yeah. So that's what I can see. I think 2027 is very likely when it would happen, like new consoles. I think 2026 could, but I think that's a bit too, I don't want to say a bit too soon, but it just feels like that might be a bit early, like just like a couple months earlier or something like that. 2027, 2028 seems right, especially considering that we still don't have many new gen exclusives right now. You know what I mean? Like we're still in like these really cross-gen days. It's going to be cross-gen even next year for some games that have been announced and all like that.
Annoying.
So like that's also why I don't think like it's going to be as imminent as we're thinking. I think
the pandemic changed a lot of that.
It did.
And I don't think the original plan was to still be cross-gen.
It wasn't. That's why I'm saying like plans change, and because of that, I think the next console generation would be 2027 at the earliest, but not definitely. If
I'm
things
saying
went
that's
according to if things went according to plan, I'd be more confident in 2027. But I'm not.
I'm
I'm not as 100% on it right now.
oh, I'm 100%. That's going to be the latest. It'll happen by 2027. Book it, and by 2027, Game Pass will. I'll say this: bare minimum $25. Wouldn't be shocked at 30.
You want to know what else
If
would
it's
be
still
happening?
kicking, if it's still kicking in its current iteration, I could see them being like, "Hey, we're bringing back $15," but then you look at the fine print and you're going, "Oh, so like it's not going to be every game." I could see some kind of like basically them pulling a PlayStation, being like, "Hey guys, we're going to give you some great value," but you're like, "This isn't the same thing. It's not every game day and day." I could see
Yeah.
that happening as kind of a like, "Hey, this isn't working in 3 years," and they're just like, "We've got to do something else." And Phil's just like,
I'm retiring. Bye. See you later. Someone else's problem. You wonder what's going to definitely happen in 2027, though. By this time, this Activision Blizzard acquisition would have gone down, and Call of Duty will be fully under Microsoft's control. And although Phil is saying, hey, it's going to still be on PlayStation because he wants to treat it like Minecraft, wouldn't be surprised if it ends up being exclusive by the next generation. Because he says here, quote, Call of Duty specifically will be available on PlayStation. I'd love to see it on Switch. I'd love to see the game playable on many different screens. Our intent is to treat COD like Minecraft, end quote. Honestly, I can see them saying that now just to say it and then pulling the rug once the time comes. They're like, and it's ours again.
so
Whatever
I
happens,
think
happens.
I think the odds-on favorite here is that Microsoft it is exclusive by next gen. Like I would
Yeah.
say, his words would be hollow and meaningless, and not in a mean way. Just he has to PR speak. You know what I mean? You can't reveal your cards one way or the other. But I think probably is kind of a key word here, and here's why. Because again, we don't know what the platform will be like. We don't know how those sales numbers work out. We don't know actually where they'll be in 5 years, which is the timeline I'm assuming for next gen.
Yeah.
If Microsoft is in financial trouble, or if Game Pass is not working, like as they want intended to, the thing is having Activision Blizzard is still going to be an asset because you can still release it on PlayStation and print money. I
Exactly.
think that would be worst case scenario for Microsoft. They're of course hoping this platform works out. The vision equals rolling in money when they start charging $25 a month for Game Pass. But I think worst case scenario is we never. This is why you don't say definitively, because PlayStation fans don't get mad, but also Xbox fans aren't trying to hold your feet to the fire if you go back on that and you're like, "Hey guys, we know we said it'd be exclusive, but we need money." PlayStation players have money also. They're willing to pay $80 or whatever at that time for Call of Duty. So I think it's smart to not, fence riding in this scenario is the only thing that makes sense. But also, I think it could actually be genuine in that they don't know for sure. The forecast is, hey, we're hoping that we have X amount of dollars, X amount of subscribers by this point. But I'm telling you, if in 2 to 3 years, it's not that projection is not even close to hitting, they will change course. And part of that course would be, hey, we own this company that makes us like very popular video games that make a ton of money. We can't stop this cash cow. We've got to
Yeah.
keep releasing them on PlayStation. Here you go, Sony.
Unless they're already stipulated by, regulatory bodies that when you acquire them, you are mandated to. If
Yeah,
that's in
which
there,
seems
then
a
like you're
tad
already forced
ridiculous,
to.
but whatever.
Last Xbox thing we'll talk about here. Some console sale number. Just console sales for the July to September period of this year were up 13% over last year during the exact same period. So Xbox again doing well, and I
Yeah,
think
more
that's
people are
really
playing more games. That's what I'll say for that. So it's not a
yeah,
surprise that console sales are going up.
exactly. And I think that's really like the the moral of this Xbox conversation that we've had here. That honestly went on longer than I expected, but it was a very fun conversation.
This
Is
you can
that
just title this the Xbox episode, man, because we just or the Game Pass
honestly
episode.
I may do that. It wasn't going to be that at first, but I might. I don't know.
Apparently,
But
this
yeah,
is we just argued about Game Pass, and not even in the like way some people would expect the pro versus con or whatever. It's
right.
purely about
Numbers and pricing and
very niche
everything.
conversation for like four people out there.
But no, yeah, like end of the day, Xbox is doing really great right now. They're doing gangbusters. They're doing numbers, and I'm happy to see them succeeding, and they're going to continue succeeding as long as stay the course and keep on track. Things will be good for them. Now, let's do Halloween stuff.
All right.
Halloween is the day that this episode goes live. Crazy how that
Woo!
works out. And had I thought about it beforehand,
Happy
like
Halloween, everybody in the future.
I didn't think about this until last night. But had I thought about it earlier in the week, I would have hit you up and been like, Halloween's on that Monday. Do you want to dress up in Halloween costumes for the episode? Just
I don't
because.
have anything, but
That's why I would have asked you earlier in the week, like if you had something or if you wanted to do it. But I didn't give it to last night. I was like, it's too late at this point. It is
I
what it
have
is.
Wolverine's jacket. I guess I could have worn that.
Yeah, I have a Sora costume. I could have like put
Could have
that
just
on.
went and bought a cheap cigar and
Put some like
Wolverine.
use like utensils as the claws, use some
Oh no, I
knives.
have a pair of the like cosplay ones that I
Oh,
just bought off
nice.
Amazon for like $15 last year. But my niece broke one of them because she was upset. She thought it was the coolest thing ever. She was like, she didn't know who Wolverine was until I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be Wolverine. I explained it because she loves Halloween, explained it to her, and then she was like, well, I want to, can I use these? And I was like, yeah, sure, go ahead. And so she was like running around constantly playing with them and then ended up breaking a pair.
You're just like, well, had a nice run. Had a nice run. They were
Had a
$15.
nice
Not the
run,
worst
yeah.
thing. So this Halloween game that we're going to do, we are going to be building a gaming character Halloween survival team. Okay. Came up with this last night, yesterday. I think it'll be fun. Shouldn't take too long, but it'll be interesting. Here's a scenario for this. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Scenario
He
is
hasn't
we're
briefed me on this, everyone, so I'm hearing it for
I
the first time too.
yes, hopefully it'll be cool. We're in a building. This is a scenario. We're in a building
Okay.
with 4 game characters, okay? For a team of 6 people. Got it? We need to make this team of characters that will join us as we survive a horde of just different types of monsters. So zombies, vampires, what have you. Any type of monster you could think of, they're coming after us, okay? We're to survive in this building against this horde for 24 hours, okay? We have to pick, like we said, we're picking 4 characters, and each character, they are coming as I guess you could say like their end game form. So like whatever they are, like at the end of their game, generally, that's kind of how they're coming to us. Okay, but everyone has a con. They have like a debuff of sorts. Okay,
Okay.
so that's gonna make the decision process maybe a bit harder.
I think so. I I like the concept, like the idea. I have one suggestion, one
What's the
alteration
suggestion?
here. I would suggest we take this concept, but we to make it a little more fun, instead of just being like, what would be our dream team? We do it. Me and you each have our own team. It's a survival of 5, and then we do a draft.
Okay, okay,
So we each draft our four picks, and then that way it's like, okay, well that one's taken now. Damn it, who would I pick?
okay. So it actually works out because I have 8 characters.
Okay, we have to pick from them. So there's a limited pool.
I have 8 listed out here.
Okay, who
So
you
if you
got?
want to do that, then we could each pick 4.
Okay, yeah. So then we don't even get unlimited options. We've got to kind of okay, yeah, we can do that. Here,
Okay,
let
cool.
let me. I'm gonna type it down so that way I know, and that way I'm not like, oh, which one? Can you repeat them? All right. What do we
Okay.
got?
Well, hold on. There's one more thing here. Okay.
Okay, there's
There
one
are
more
also
caveat.
there's also elite characters. Okay. These elite characters are like basically the best of the best. They have no debuffs at all, but you can only call on them twice over the course of these 24
So
hours.
they're summons basically.
Essentially, they're summons, and when they come, they stick around for 1 hour. So you're able to have them for a total of 2 hours, as you can only call them twice. You
Okay.
follow? So here are the characters, the regular characters, our normal set of 8. All right.
All right, I'm ready.
Link, the Breath of the Wild version specifically. Okay.
Okay.
His con, every weapon he picks up breaks after 2 minutes. At first I
Okay.
had at first I had his con be that it breaks after like 1 minute or like 10 hits, but I was like, that's a bit too difficult. No. Aloy, she's the next one. Her
Mm-hmm.
con, she's constantly talking to herself in a soft yet audible voice.
Okay.
Dom from Gears of War, his con,
Mm-hmm.
He gets depressed about his wife at random, causing him to not fight for 5 minutes.
Okay.
Ready for the next one?
Yes.
Next up, we have a Fortnite character, random one. I don't care who. Their con, they have a 1 in 5 chance of doing one of those rapid, quote unquote, like pro player builds that you see people doing videos where like there's like randomly spinning around and like building a bunch of random stuff. You know what I mean? They have a
Yeah.
1 in 5 chance of doing that, and it's not helpful at all.
Okay.
Next, I have Jesse from Control. Did you play Control?
I did. Great game.
It was. Her con, she has a hard to read map that causes her to easily get lost.
Okay.
Then we have Ratchet and Clank. Their
Hmm.
con, dimensional rifts open at random, pulling them and whoever is within a 10 feet radius of them to a random part of the building.
Okay.
Could help, might not help. Then I have Jack from Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy.
Okay.
His con, he fights to the music of Limp Bizkit, but like not in his headphones. It's on speaker. And he's constantly talking about how he wants to kill chaos. So you have to hear that the entire 24 hours.
Okay.
Then we have the Dovahkiin from Skyrim. Their con,
Oh, yeah.
uh, or you just want to write Dragonborn, you can write Dragonborn, whatever is simpler.
Okay.
Their con, their shouts greatly impair your hearing for 5 minutes. You imagine they'll be shouting
Okay.
quite a bit. And then the last one here, I thought this one's a bit weird, but I was like, what the heck? Why not? Maybe you could have some fun with it. A sim from the Sims game. Here's the thing with them. Here's their con. Okay, I have the thing with the sim is that they do literally anything you tell them to do without question. Okay, but if they are not given a new task within 10 minutes, then they just do whatever they want to do.
Okay.
So, like, if say you say, go watch that window, they watch the window for 10 minutes. If you don't tell them to stay at the window again, they might just get up and say, all right, I'm just going to go sit down.
Okay. And just to clarify, there's actually 9 characters, but that's fine. That means we don't have to draft
Oh,
every
yes.
single one.
Sorry.
That works out well. No, you're good.
I forgot because I was trying to think of 10 and I had written 8 down originally.
Whoever gets the first pick, I think, of this draft should get second pick on the buffs when we draft those separately.
Okay. Do you want to know who the elite characters are now or no?
Yeah.
Okay. The elite
or if you want, we can do this first and then.
Yeah, let's do this first, actually,
Okay.
and then I'll tell you the elite characters.
All right. Who's going first?
I'll let you go first.
So with the first overall pick, in my head, I've got my own strategy for what I value. I'm going with Jack from Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy.
Interesting. I didn't think you would pick him.
Power level wise, I feel like he's high up there. And
True.
Listen, man, it's 24 hours. I can be annoyed. And my strategy here was, do I want him or Aloy?
Right.
And I feel like power level Jack just clears.
Okay.
I can listen
fair.
to some Limp Bizkit and hear someone be annoying. Like, I don't view that con as necessarily bad. So my team, so
far you have Jack.
Jack. All right.
Okay. I didn't think you were gonna pick him. I was thinking you'd be like, I don't want to hear this. I don't want to hear him.
Thought I was gonna fall for this.
Where's chaos?
You gave him like the worst debuff of all, man.
I was trying to think of other characters. I couldn't really think of any. I was like, all right, you know what? Jack he can stay. He was gonna get cut though and replaced with someone else.
Oh man, I'm glad you kept him. All right. He went first overall.
All right.
Comeback story. Warms your heart.
First pick. All right. I'm gonna go with my pick will be I'll go with Ratchet and Clank. That'll be my first pick.
Damn, good one. I didn't hate that. I didn't hate that ability. So I was.
Yeah, it
I was
wasn't the
debating
worst. It wasn't the worst, but it could it may or may not help you that much. But I'm thinking, you know what? Weigh that against the weapons that they come with, and like it's a good win.
I,
It's a good one.
yeah. So the way I viewed them and why I thought they were valuable was which I feel like now I debated taking them first. Now I feel like I should have because there's no way you would have taken Jack second, right?
I maybe I don't know, not right away, but he would have been a consideration for me.
So value wise, I debated him, but I debated them. But yeah, because there's some value to random chaos in a good way. They can
Yeah.
take either you can jump with them to escape if you're in a bad situation, or you basically because like we're assuming this is real life, not we're playing a video game where we're trying to survive 24 hours, correct? Yeah. So
Right.
either that or your enemies are like you're feeling overwhelmed, maybe you're losing the fight. Boom, all of a sudden a bunch of enemies are gone with them. It now makes clearing everything out a little easier.
Exactly.
Now,
See?
with the second my second overall pick, probably not how you're expecting my draft to go. Maybe this will be a little controversial,
Okay.
but I feel like your debuff wasn't even a debuff because you're constantly trying to update. Second overall pick, I'm taking The Sims, baby. Are you kidding me? They can do anything
Really?
I want. There's no cooldown. In 24 hours, I'm not worried about, oh, like 10 minutes went by. Have I not told him to do something? My mind's like, boom, boom, boom. I'm constantly strategizing within this 24 hours. I need to be up on my shit. And they just incentivize me to do so. And I can have them do anything. It's almost like there's not the variance of like, well, this character maybe not do what I tell them. I've got loyal minions essentially. I need that. This is the filler kind of. This is the glue guy of your roster. You need this person getting boards for you, doing the dirty work. I want Sims on my squad.
See, that was why I was like, you know what? They're gonna be a fun one because you can literally be like, you are a decoy. Go go distract all of them for me. You can have so much fun with them, but you just have to be
Good. I
tough
know
on
it's a good one.
remembering.
I like the second you said that, I was like, I'm not being fooled. That's a great pick to have on your team.
I'm happy you went with them. You're taking the ones I really would thought would have been like last picks. I'm surprised you're taking them as the first picks. Okay, I'm curious to see where
Some of
your
these
team
characters
goes.
have just like bad cooldowns. I'm not gonna lie. All of the power characters, quote unquote, to me, I look at them and I'm like, that's a bad con. I'm just like, I can't deal with that shit.
I had to try and balance this out the best way I could, and just like the best way I could, where I thought about it. All right, my second pick. Um, I'm gonna grab. I'm torn right now. I'm gonna grab Jesse from Control.
Okay.
That's gonna be my second pick because yes, she has a map that causes her to constantly get lost. But if I'm with her, I can read the map and hopefully I can read it better than she can. But also, once she gets to where she got to go, she got power. She can fly. She can toss stuff around. She
Power
has a
level
gun that
wise,
changes.
she's up there for sure. Power
Yeah,
level wise, she's definitely been one of the ones. The con is annoying, which is why for
it
me
is.
she wasn't a shoe in for like the one.
Yeah,
But had you gone a different route, I may have considered her three. I was thinking, but then you let this character get to me, and for one or two, I didn't want her to be the core of my team. She's not the LeBron. She's not the Luca. She's
I
not
was
the
gonna.
Giannis. She's not pulling. But value wise, as the third string, perfect. We want her. She's just
I
again
should have
a
done
core.
this.
It's Aloy, baby.
I was
No
gonna
con.
take
I've got
her.
zero cons on my team right now. Yeah, maybe she doesn't yell loud enough. Maybe Jack does it. He's a little annoying, and maybe I have to update the Sims. But we're a fucking organized unit right now. Sims are doing exactly what I want. There's no cooldowns involved with these two. We are clearing so far. I could take probably anyone else for my number four. I think I'm surviving the 24 hours. I think you just gave me a gift on a platter. I can't believe she got to three.
I was really about to take her, but I was just like, do I do it?
It's
And I
probably
didn't.
karmically right. I should have taken her two and let you probably would have let the Sims fall to me at three, most likely. And so
Probably.
I probably should have done the actual order, maybe should have gone around, but I
Yeah.
think it worked out.
All right. I gotta balance this out. I'm gonna take the Dovahkiin. I'm sorry. I'm taking the Dovahkiin. Like
Okay.
the shouts will impair my hearing for 5 minutes. Yes, they will probably be shouting a lot, but you know what? Them shouts is powerful. Them shouts can they like you could do any of the shouts you want. So you can like do the Fusro die, you could set people on fire, you can control the enemies if you want. They got a variety of shouts that are very helpful. So I think I can deal with 5 minutes of sucky hearing every now and then for the
Mm-hmm.
power that it benefits my team with. I think I can deal with that.
So we've got Link. We've just to clarify what we have left. We have Link, we have Dom, and we have any Fortnite character.
Yeah, they all do the same thing. Just a matter of what skin you want to have them wearing. That's how it comes down to.
Okay.
Who you picking now?
So this one requires a little thought. I don't think there's any slam dunks. There's a legit the Fortnite character. So it doesn't matter because I don't have to worry about positional strategy because you've got the last pick, and so I get to let you choose here. So the Fortnite character has the least bad con, but because I played it so safe with those, what I'm thinking is I want power levels. I want in a way a glass cannon, a heavy hitter, just for a little bit of oomph. I don't want to be too plain. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna go Dom because
Okay.
5 minute cooldown to pressing, that's okay. We've got 3 other characters with no cooldown. Meanwhile, he's gonna I know what I'm getting from him power wise, whereas I feel like Fortnite, what is that? I feel like it's ambiguous how much power they're bringing to the table. And then the building I didn't view as necessarily bad, but it's also not good. So it's kind of like I'm going to take the more powerful character, and we can afford that cooldown because we got 3 characters that are never stopping, baby. So I like my team. I think we're making it. I think we're clearing. I'll be honest. I don't know if it matters much. I don't know if you're making it out, man. You've got a lot of chaos, disorganization on your team.
I think you threw me off when you grabbed Jack first. I was like, whoa, wait a minute. And then
you thought you were getting value with him in your 3rd or 4th round, and I took that shit. I'm not a chump. I know I draft way too much. You underestimate how good I am when it comes to sports. This is
yeah, because I was just like, it threw me for a loop. I was like, oh, okay, maybe I should let me just look at these again. Like maybe I like just thought about these people wrong and
I'll
all
be
like
real.
that.
I thought you were going to take Aloy second.
I was gonna take her first initially, but then
That's what I mean. First for
yeah,
your pick.
yeah, that's what I
Although
thought.
you could have gone, first overall as well. I could see that.
I would, yeah, she was gonna be my first pick. That's what I was gonna do, but then I was like, do I want to do that actually? I was like, wait, did I read her wrong entirely? I thought that Jack was a bad one, but he just took him first. Oh, okay, wait a minute.
Out, apparently.
Yeah, you did. I was like, whoa, all right, maybe I should look at some of these others that I thought weren't that great and maybe pick them first. Okay, yeah. So between the Fortnite character and Link, uh, you see, here's my thinking here. Link, he could climb on anything. He has the Sheikah Slate ability, so he can bring up the random bombs. He can do the stasis. In this, I'm gonna say the stasis can be done on like enemies, unlike in Breath of the Wild. Just because I feel like it should be able to be done on enemies in Breath of the Wild, but for balance reasons, I see why it can't. And he has the cryonis, the ice stuff. He got all those. He, in addition to all that, he can use any weapon, and he can use anything as a weapon. So like, grab a random enemy arm and bing bam boom. He has variety, and yes, every weapon he uses breaks after 2 minutes, but that's better than a specific amount of swings. And if we have a horde of people coming at us, he has just like essentially an unlimited supply of weapons at their disposal. With the Fortnite character, you got all these weapons that they have essentially. They can do all that, and then they can put up barriers wherever they want to. I have the 1 in 5 chance that they don't do it, but 4 times out of the, more often than not, we can put up a barrier where we want to, and it'll be a good barrier. It'll help us out some. So I'm torn between the two of them.
I feel like for me, there's a clear answer, but
I think there is a. I gotta think about my team. Okay, I got Ratchet and Clank.
You got to think about roster construction. Yeah, you can't just go best player available all the time.
Ratchet and Clank got all their weapons. Their rifts pull us to a random spot.
Meanwhile,
sometimes.
Jesse's fucking lost.
Jesse's Jesse's in the basement. Just like, where'd you guys go? We're on the second floor. Just gotta go up the staircase. Where's the staircase? I
And you
can't
can't
find
hear
it.
anyone because you're deaf. Because
No.
Dragonborn's shouting.
My team is all over the place right now. It doesn't matter at this point.
You need some stability. You need
I need stability for
a
sure.
guiding hand.
I my stability. All right, my stability is gonna be Link. I'm not gonna pick the Fortnite character because that randomness could really bite. Like it's helpful. You can put up the barriers, but I think that randomness with it, that 1 in 5 chance, could be that time where we really need a barrier. You just stand up and spin around and make just a staircase around yourself, and it does nothing for anyone. And then you have to break it to get out of it to then make the real one. I think I will go with Link. I'm going to lock that in. Link's going to be my first.
Okay. To be clear, I thought the clear answer was Fortnite. I thought you gave Link the worst debuff of all of them. I thought that cooldown sucks.
It does.
And
It does. And
Breath of the Wild is my favorite game of all time. And that doesn't mean I'm just like, oh, I want Link no matter what. No, Link sucks power level wise. The whole point of Zelda is that it's David versus Goliath, basically, as far as him versus Ganondorf. It's this little nerd who just, everyone's like, oh, I can't believe you're somehow beating this all powerful sentient thing. Power level, no. No. And you think I'm fine with weapon degradation in the real game, but I'm trying to survive 24 hours. Get that shit out of here.
I mean, again, the debuff was worse before. Before I had it as like slash like 10 or 20 hits and then a weapon breaks. I decided to be way more generous and fair.
Apparently, yeah,
with
you
this.
helped yourself out there.
I definitely did for sure.
All right, but we got a chaotic team. Maybe your summon, your elite character can help you.
Yes. All right.
We got two of these, right?
Each of us gets one. Each of us gets one, but they can be summoned twice over the 24 hours.
Okay, so I don't really get a draft. So you get to pick your one of two here, which that's fine. That's fine, right? Because there's only 2 elite characters.
No, so there are 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 6 elite characters here for us to choose from. Okay, and we only pick one.
Okay,
so I pick one.
So I won't write them down. Then I'll memorize it because it's just the ones. Okay, but you get to go first. And let me know
these elite characters. I feel like they're like best of the best. They won't die or anything. They're because they are elite.
Can I try and predict some of them?
If you want to, sure.
Master Chief's in there for sure.
He is. And originally I was gonna have him as a normal character, but I was like, he's too good to be a normal character. I can't give him a debuff.
Yeah, he's super good. So Master Chief is for sure in there. Kratos. How could I forget number 2. Kratos?
Well,
I almost forgot him. Is Doom guy one of them?
No, but I thought about it.
Yeah, he would have made sense. This will take too long. If those are the only 2 off the top of the dome, I'll say for sure. Maybe a Mortal Kombat character.
Not a Mortal Kombat character,
but that would have worked too. Yeah,
that could have worked. I didn't think about any of them. I have Samus as well.
Yep, makes sense.
Bayonetta.
I
have a Big Daddy from BioShock.
Okay.
And then I have Captain Price.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have 1 or 2 choices. Whoever you go with, I'm going with the other one.
Okay.
If you take either of them, you're first because you got second in the.
Yep, that's what I was gonna say. I'm torn between 3 choices here.
Okay.
I'll let you know who I'm torn between.
I was about to say, yeah, it doesn't matter because it's not like there's any strategy. It's just the one pick.
I'm torn between Kratos, Master Chief, and Bayonetta.
Okay,
I feel like they are of these 6. Everyone here, I feel like, would be capable of going up against a horde of monsters for 24 hours. I think they are the most capable of going up against a horde of monsters for 24 hours. So I'm torn between these 3. Who would be the best?
Yeah. I'll be honest with you. My 2 are 2 of those characters. So
I'm not gonna lie. I figured as much. I figured that would be the case. All right. I'm going to pick. Remember, because we only pick one of these.
Yep.
I'm going to go with. I'm picking Kratos. I'm sorry. This man killed the whole Greek pantheon Like
You, oh my God,
I can't.
I'm weak because so obviously that's locked in. You don't get to change now.
I'm not. I'm
But,
not. That's my one. That's my
but
one person.
so you took the chaotic character, which is fucking hilarious because of your entire roster. But I was thinking you need Master Chief because he's structure military. You have none. So on our roster, baby, we're just bringing it in. We're adding efficiency. He's going to show up every 2 hours and be like, "Are you guys good?" And we're going to be like, "Yes." But he's just going to help us make it easier. We're going Master Chief, of course. Value it too. Obviously, I was like, at first I was like, I want Master Chief, but I was like, this team is going to be so efficient. We're good that we could, if he takes Master Chief for work, like for the organization aspect, that's fine. We'll just take power level wise the higher character with Kratos. But I don't think Master Chief is that much less powerful. I mean, I'm sure some dork out there can prove that I'm wrong because Kratos is a literal demigod, but I'm fine with Master Chief. We're not trying to kill a god here. We're just trying to clear out these monsters. I think Chief's perfect for that. He fights waves, especially. That's what he's Kratos more equipped for 1v1 with bigger enemies. Master Chief great at waves.
But I
You just
mean,
like
remember
if there's some overflow spill, he's just gonna come in and clear out all of the riffraff getting through. You know what I mean?
But I mean, remember the God of War trilogy, the first one. You're going up against like large swaths of enemies at one time in that game. You know,
That's true. He does do that.
it's not
Kratos,
strictly new God of War. So
there were two right picks, and we got both of them. I think you could have used Master Chief's structure and his military like presence, but Kratos still very powerful. He's so powerful, you could argue he might, if you can just, if your squad can somehow stay alive till when Kratos comes in, he probably can clear everyone out for you based off that alone.
right. And it's like we can summon them whenever we want. It's just that there is a bit of a cooldown between summons. So like after you summon them once, you can't be like, hey, walk back in the building, walk back
Those
in.
2 hours are going to be rough for you, where he can't come back.
Yeah. So for the record, our teams are this. I have Link, Jesse, Ratchet, the Dovahkiin or Dragonborn, and Kratos as my elite summon. Tyler, you have Aloy, Dom, Jack, a Sim, and Master Chief.
Yep, efficient unit.
Chances are you're probably surviving. If you are definitely surviving, and if I survive, you just had a much easier time than I did.
We're not House of Highlights. We have 0 dunks or 3-pointers on our team. It's a layup line. We're just going to be efficient. There's not going to be like, nobody's ripping people in half. There's none of that. Aloy's just going to be, the Sim's going to be boarding shit up for me. They're going to be, I'll hand them a gun. They're just standing in a line, shooting straight. I've got Jack power level wise, just getting in there, just really beating up the tough ones. And then Dom got the shotgun. He's ready. When he needs to be depressed and needs a little cool down, we got it. I'll have the Sim step in for him or yada yada. And then we can get Master Chief every couple of hours. We're good. We're surviving the night, baby.
I wish this was an actual game that we could play.
I know, right? It's fun.
Now go. Now go and see what happens. That would be fun. This was a fun time. That was a fun one.
Yeah, fun game. I think I was gonna actually propose maybe we should put the bring it back on ice just because we're time wise, we've gone quite a bit here with this game. It was a great suggestion. I love this game. Highlight of the pod so far for sure. Yeah. But I think ending now on what we've played would probably be right otherwise we're pushing into 2 hours for sure if we go bring it back.
Yeah, we'll do bring it back another day. Because I mean,
next week might be dead too. So it's
easily we could do it another day. And even if we do another day, we might be able to
God of War silence, and then
right. So bring it back. We'll come back another day. Let's do our brief mentions and then go to what we've been playing. Brief mentions: Fallout 4 is getting a new gen update for PS5, Series X and S, and PC. It's going to bring graphical modes, 4K, better frame rates, what you would expect from a new gen update, as well as more creation content stuff, from like the mods and everything. So that's coming. Dragon Age Dreadwolf, also, otherwise known as Dragon Age 4, has passed its alpha milestone, meaning that the game can be played from start to finish. Great job over there. Looking forward to that whenever it comes out. The November PS Plus games for PS Plus Essential have been announced. They are Neo 2 for PS4 and PS5, the Lego Harry Potter collection for PS4, and then Heavenly Bodies for PS4 and PS5. Also, surprise, surprise, Somerville, the indie game. It's coming on November 15th, coming to Xbox. I believe it's Series S and X. I don't know if it's an Xbox One game, but it might be. It's also coming to PC, and it'll be a Game Pass day one release. I'm very excited for it, although I might not be there day one because that's in the God of War timeframe.
Not
Wolong
clearing
Fall.
it in a week.
I mean, in terms
Oh,
of,
it's gone for me in a week. I'll be done. Like by that second episode, I'll be ready. I'll be like, let's go, baby.
I might be done with the game, but I mean, in terms of like doing the game and then my whole review and everything, it's gonna be
Gotcha,
in that
gotcha.
time
Okay,
frame. So like, I'm not gonna be able to get it done and all like that and stuff.
okay,
Um,
makes sense. Makes sense.
I'm aiming to have my God of War review done by Thanksgiving though. Just that should be 100% be the
Oh,
goal for
really?
that. Yeah, just because in terms of me having the energy and time to write after work and then also putting the videos
Slight off
together and stuff.
topic. Does it take you a while to write?
It does it doesn't take me a while to write when I'm able to sit down and really dial in on it. But
Oh, okay.
it's more so that I would love to do it right after I get home from work, like each day. But when I get home from work, sometimes I'm like physically drained and exhausted and tired. And I'm on the phone with my girlfriend too. So like my attention is split. So I'm not always able to really be as in it as I want to be. Um,
I think
but with this God of War review, like I'm really aiming to try and have it done as quickly as I possibly can. And I also know that like when I edit the videos and stuff, like the video reviews, that typically takes me about, it depends on when I start it. If I'm doing it over the weekend, I have like, all day on the weekend. But if I'm doing it after work, I only have like a couple hours to work with and stuff. So
yeah.
like doing it during the week could take me about 3 days. Over the weekend, if I have a whole Saturday and a Sunday to do it, it could be 2 days or so. It depends on when I'm able to start the video process. So that's what I'm saying. By Thanksgiving, it should definitely be out because that gives me a good like 2 weeks of wiggle room to work with, like play through the
Yeah.
game, finish it, right, do the video edit and stuff.
And that's one of those moments where I realized, like, oh, apparently I can write fast, I think, because I kid you not, I'll have it done in a night. Like I could finish God of War and then just that night, but like
I'm certain I
my
could too.
brain does not turn off. So it's like I'm constantly writing it in my head, even when I'm not thinking about it. So I've got all these rough drafts basically. And then the second
Yeah.
I hand hits the keyboard, it's just like, and I'll just go.
See, that's, I imagine I'm the same way because I mean I was an English major in college, and whenever I did my papers, I did them the night they were due. They would do at 11:59. I
Nice.
started them at like 6 p.m. and they were due. They were in on time and stuff, because I would have the idea of what I wanted to write and what I wanted to say beforehand. Um, so when it comes to doing these reviews, I I'm sure I could do the same thing, but again, it's just a matter of just what like my day looks like. Like when I get home, sometimes I'm like, all right, let's write, and I'm just like, my brain is dead, and I'll know what I want to say, but it's a bit hard for me to put it on paper. In addition to also, talking to my girlfriend at the same time, so the attention is split. But if it's like if I'm writing on a Saturday or a Sunday, I'm dialed in, and that's when I'm able to get the majority of my stuff done. Um, so that's just how it all works out. A little behind the scenes for the listeners and viewers as well. Get a little peek behind how my process goes. Wolong Fallen Dynasty that releases on March 3rd, 2023. It's like a Souls like kind of sort of from Team Ninja.
Uh
Or is
yeah,
it?
it's got that vibe. It's hard, but
Yeah.
demo was fun. Looking forward to it.
Naughty Dog, they are working with PlayStation's Visual Arts Group to create a new studio that is making an unannounced AAA game. I think that it's cool, but also funny considering the drama behind the Visual Arts Group and everything that came out last year. It's kind of funny. PlayStation London studio is also working on an online co-op combat game that is set in a modern fantasy London for PS5. I'm very excited to see what that ends up being. The concept art looked cool. Rocksteady's co-founders, Sefton Hill and Jamie Walker, have announced that they will be leaving the company at the end of the year to, quote, begin a new adventure in gaming, end quote. Best of wishes to them. Best of luck to them. I hope Suicide Squad ends up just fine. I hope so. Uh, Helena Taylor, she spoke out once again, and she basically confirmed the reports from Jason Schreier and Andy Robinson that were, saying that, hey, Taylor, she kind of like bent the truth a bit. Although she was like, people are slandering me essentially and like not telling the truth, and then kind of said exactly what the report said. So make of that what you want. IGN also put out a report basically kind of like, hey, we talked to some voice actors, kind of like, the whole voice actor thing sparked a discussion. We wanted more information, so they did a report on it. Which again, I have not got a chance to read because I saw it last night, was busy doing other stuff. But I just want to put that out there as like, hey, interesting reading. You might want to take a look at it, go check it out and read it yourself for more information on behind the scenes type stuff. I think it's always important to, spread that information out there. Now, that's all the news and stuff. What we've been playing this week. I finished Modern Warfare 2's campaign. I thought it was good. I enjoyed it. There is I played on a veteran. This campaign was probably the hardest veteran I've ever done in any Call of Duty game. Like,
we talked about you flexing your I'm doing veteran last week.
well, no. Here's the thing. I not to say that like there haven't been other hard veterans before. There have been, but this one, it seemed like the AI was really like on a whole nother level of aimbot. It was insane. And then there are enemies in the campaign that are like armored enemies. So basically, if you've played Warzone, you know how the armor works in Warzone. You have enemies in the campaign that are like that, and they also have like helmets on as well, which makes it a bit harder to headshot them and stuff. They two tap you. So when they combine that with aimbot and they are a pain to kill, combine that with being in a room with multiple of them or just regular enemies, it's a pain to get through a lot of these sections on veteran difficulty. It still a fine campaign, still enjoyed it. Looking forward to where the story goes next. There's also a moment that is I've seen people talk about online. It's controversial because no spoilers or anything. There's a part where you're playing as a Mexican special forces character. You are going after this terrorist guy who is in Mexico. He hops the border over to the US, right? So you go after him and stuff. And then, you're in Texas and like people's backyards are going in their homes and stuff. And there are civilians that are like, hey, what are you doing here? What's going on? The game asks you to de-escalate the civilians. How does that ask you to do this? Hold L2 to de-escalate the civilians. Here's the thing. This popped up and I was like, surely they don't mean to aim my gun at them, right? That's not what they mean to de-escalate. That is exactly what they meant. Aim your gun at them to de-escalate
I've
the
seen
civilians.
this, yeah, on Twitter that this is how.
And it's just weird. Like in the moment, I was just like, this is odd. I thought there was gonna be like a special animation or action, and it wasn't. It's like, here, de-escalate, go back inside. It's like
subtlety and deftness you expect from Call of Duty, baby.
Yeah, I was like, that's a bit weird. That odd call right there, bad move. Still enjoyed the campaign. I'm gonna play the multiplayer this weekend and all. Plague Tale Requiem. I wanted to have that finished. I don't have that finished. If you follow me on Twitter, I believe I hit a bug in the game that keeps me from progressing. Essentially, right after you get the ability for Hugo to use the rats and everything, you have to use the ability to get across the room, and then you have to get a fire, use the fire to walk through the rats and everything. Cool. The exit is on the opposite end of this room. I see where the exit is. I have to go through a door. When I try to approach the door, I literally get stopped by an invisible force that pushes me back. I try to restart the checkpoint multiple times. I left out that save and went back to the main menu, restarted. The exact same thing happened. I quit the game, went back into it. Same thing happened. I thought maybe I was doing something wrong, but no, there's nothing else in that room for me to do. I have to go across the room and walk past the rats and go to the door.
And you're playing it on Game Pass, right?
Yep. Can't do anything. I'm going to try again today and see what happens. But honestly, I'm thinking the review is a wash. Like, I was going to review this game, but if I can't beat it, I can't review it. So I was
Call of Duty instead.
Yeah. And it's like, I could maybe, like, I'm thinking maybe if I restart the level entirely, I could do it. But then it's like, I have to play through, like, everything that came before it is easy. I just don't want to have to do, like, put that time in again, like that 30 minutes or so back in to get to that point. Just because of the
come on.
pace.
It's 20 to 30. I'm thinking you're losing hours of progress.
Well, no, it's like I'm saying 20, 30 minutes. It might be like closer. It's probably like 30, 45 or so, maybe. But the game, it's a slower paced game on top of that too. It's not like it's a faster paced game. So doing that stuff at that slow pace to get back to that point and possibly hit the same issue, I'm just like, so
I mean, I feel it. I've done that before, but
I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try it again. I'm gonna try it again today and see what happens. But I'm really feeling like I'm not gonna be able to get past it. I don't know. It's
how
very
much
weird.
had you had played some of this last week, right?
Yeah, I'd
How
only
much
played.
how much further are you, or did you get before you hit that point?
I was at chapter. So when we recorded last week, I was at the start of chapter 4. I am now. I believe this is chapter 6 that I am in now. I
Okay.
believe. So like I yeah, yeah, this is definitely chapter 6. Just thinking about the
Okay.
events that happened, I'm in chapter 6, and this is the start of chapter 6. Like, went I had like a whole interaction, met some people, getting chased, and now I'm like, all right,
So
cool.
a good chunk.
Yeah, like I
Would
did a
you
fair chunk of stuff, and it's like,
would you say
you know,
your prediction for how its scoring had stayed or was going to score had stayed the same? Had it
probably
gone down, maybe up
no.
a little?
It hadn't gone down. It was still I was still high on it, and I still am. Like this, the game was still great, but that bug happened, and it's like you go nowhere, and it's like, damn it.
Yeah.
It's annoying. It's frustrating. 'Cause I was enjoying the game, so I'll try see what happens. If it doesn't, I might just have to PlayStation at some point down the road, and see if I have the same issue there, or maybe they put out a patch that fixes things. Who knows? But that's where I am. Talk to me about Gotham Knights.
Yeah. So I was letting you know pre-show, finished Gotham Knights. So I might review it for my channel. Um I usually do like little quick 1 yard or 1 minute reviews. Um it I was telling you also that Kyle Bossman, shout out to Kyle Bossman. If you don't watch his content, he's like my favorite gaming personality, the funniest out there. He's got a show called Delayed Input. He also, ironically enough, talked about it, and I think he almost in a way put it better than I ever could have, which is just that Gotham Knights is like a giant bucket of chicken nuggets, and it's like you wouldn't recommend to your friend like this gross, oily, refined semi meat, but also like you can't help yourself because you enjoy them, and so you're just kind of sitting there in solitude eating them and like disgusted with yourself, but you also like it because it is. Man, there's parts where it's like I want to like you, Gotham Knights, but it is rough,
Yeah,
and not just performance wise, which I addressed that last week. I made actually a clip about that and put that up better this week. Got like 3 up. I'm gonna try and get it to where I put 1 a day up, but
nice, nice.
it made it easier on me when I recorded. It's like it was but it's I can't choose when to cut back and forth. It does it based off our voices. It's weird. I don't know why my recording was so much different than yours, but I digress.
Interesting.
Um, but Gotham Knights, yeah, there's just moments where like the story, you're just like, I know that no spoilers, but I know they didn't do that. That just seems so dumb. There's there's like 3 end game or not end game, but there's 3 like end of the game, not end game, like beyond the end boss fights where it's just like I swear I thought they were gonna do 4th, and I was like, I might quit this game before it's over. If there's because it's not that it's hard, it's just so
Tiring.
many of them were grindy and
Mm.
clearly like I'll say this single player wise, I got through the game mostly fine, but there were just boss fights and certain moments in the game where you're like, this is it. This is how you designed. And I think this is inherently the problem with just wanting to quote unquote design a game around 4 person, but like really they just made another Gotham game, like a crappier version of it. And so just do something like maybe do separate missions for that or whatever. But they're clearly their whole approach was just like, well, we don't know how to make this co-op other than just scale up the like difficulty on some of these things. And by scale up the difficulty, I mean just like give them a super large bar, make the hits lower. You know what I mean? And so it's just like
Yeah,
it wasn't even hard. I beat it, but I'm just like running around cheesing it, and just like it's long more than anything. It's like this boss fight doesn't need to be long. The patterns aren't interesting. There's nothing fun going on.
it just became
And the
tedious
general
after a
vibe.
while.
Exactly. And the general vibe when I had a good time was like, hey, it's pretty easy, but also kind of fun. I'm having a good time versus like that just immediately halts the good vibes. And you're just like, oh my God, this is so irritating. And there's moments of those scattered throughout the game where it's just like,
Yeah.
oh, this is the part where you're supposed to have a friend. And you're just like, okay, well,
I don't
thanks.
have a
Now it's going to take
friend.
me 20 minutes to beat this, not because I'm bad, but just because to actually beat it, I got to just like run and constantly dodge and just blah, blah. And it's like, oh, it's there's so many of those moments, uh, whether it's that or whether there's just like the story is fine, but ultimately doesn't seem like they're trying to say anything. I've never read the Court of Owls comics. Um, so I don't know if this is how it goes or it digresses, but it's like cool setup, cool premise, and then
Peters
it
out.
just like kind of trips over itself at the end. It definitely, and it's like there's a moment towards the end where it's like a little emotionally satisfying, but it's also just because I'm a sucker for like Batman. It has nothing to do with like this is earned at all. It's more just like, oh well, it's because I really like Batman, so this moment hit a little bit at the end, but it's
Yeah.
definitely, yeah, it's a big bucket of chicken nuggets, man. I don't know. It's
It's
such a
like
good metaphor. I was so immediately like jealous because I thought my meme last week was clever or whatever, and he just comes out with a way better comparison. But it is. I'm glad that there's someone else out there. Him and shout out Gene Park as well. We're both. It's all the same sentiment of like, hey, I'm actually enjoying this, despite like, yeah, it does objectively kind of suck. Um,
it has all these technical issues and like
it has
there's
all
all
these
these other
technical
things
issues.
that
The
aren't that
stories,
great. But
yeah,
it's
the
it's a
writing
fun
can be bad.
time. It's a fun time to turn my brain off and just like in this world and stuff.
On a pro note, the loot is not so. If you care about loot, you probably don't like this game. But as a person that's not like obsessed with loot or anything, it's less intrusive than it would be. It's more just like, oh, huh, this one looks kind of cool. Okay, this one will make me more powerful. That helps out a little bit. But the method to the madness, the grinding for it, and the RNG, I imagine if you're like really obsessive and care about it, probably is more frustrating. But it's like it's just a fun little, oh yeah, I'll do that. Nice. I'm more powerful with this. Which one's better? It's not like pouring over at a million. It's pretty straightforward. Feels a little tacked on, but in this case, it's almost like good. And Kyle touched about this on his video. Sometimes like when the systems are properly tooled, it's
Yeah.
annoying, but whenever they don't care and when it's tacked on, kind of just like, oh, this doesn't annoy me. It's kind of fun, like that's general. You mess this up, but that's a good thing in this context.
I'm gonna have to go check out his video. I haven't seen it. So
It's I yeah, he's so good. His comedy, his bits are just insane. I love that's like I strive to be that funny, but like his funny is just so unique that
find
it's like I can't recapture it.
nice. Well, awesome. Glad to hear that you finished it up and
It's
that
a
it
6 out of 10, by the way. Even I'm not like trying to hold that score back. It's a 6 of 10.
yeah, it
I wanted it to be a 7 so badly, but it's a 6.
it's okay. It did what it needed to do. It
Yeah.
satisfied you the way you wanted, and you were just like,
I
all right.
also caveat here, didn't pay $70 for it. Um, if you like buying physical, it's worth it to not the credit card, but Target has a red card. All you got to do is sign up and you get like this isn't sponsored obviously, but you get a little 5% off. And it's like literally it's tied to your regular debit card. So it's not like you're having a separate debit card or whatever. You just have to sign up for it and you get 5% off. So it's like $3, 350 on games. And then also constantly they'll have like little things. So there was like an extra 10% off. Plus, it was like I had one was like $5 off. So I ended up paying like $53, which felt, when you're talking about a 6 out of 10, even if you had a good time, saving $17 feels pretty good.
Exactly. I'd
So
be
if you're a
happy with that
physical
too.
person, it just helps. And I usually go Target if they have the game. Just pro tip for anyone out there.
Thank you, Tyler, for that pro tip. And thanks for an awesome episode. This was a lot of fun. Really
It was a
enjoyed
blast.
this
Yeah.
one. Uh
Solid episode, crazy Game Pass banter, and then really I think the unifying it all tied it together was the Halloween game. Is good Halloween game by you.
thank you, thank you. I'm happy that it worked out so well. I'm happy you enjoyed it as you did. Thank you all so much for watching and listening. Hit up the website, playtowingames.wordpress.com. It's a home for all of our content, so you can find written versions of the reviews and previews we've done as well over there. Go ahead, check that out. Hit us up on Twitter and Instagram at PlayToWinGame. You can follow us over there for updates on the show, but also chat with us there as well. Subscribe on YouTube, subscribe on podcast services, leave a 5-star review on podcast services. On YouTube, hit that notification bell so you know as videos go live, as soon as videos go live. Like and comment, share. Let us know, your thoughts on Game Pass in the future. Let us know your thoughts on Witcher, the remake, and tell us who had the better team for the Halloween game, for the survival team. I mean, I think objectively it's Tyler, but let us know what you think.
Yeah, it's okay to be like, this Tyler has the sexier team for sure. But come on, organizationally, like my team, I'm not saying you can't survive the night, but my team's for sure surviving the night.
Oh, yeah, as I said, you definitely will. If I do, it will be a struggle. It might be a bit of a struggle to make it through.
Kratos will come in and clear for you. It's all right.
Those hours where he's not there might be tough.
Yeah, those 2 hours will be rough, but you've got it.
Where can people find you?
They can find me Good Game We Lost, TikTok. I have not been posting reels at all, but Instagram there as well, and then YouTube as well. We're almost at 1,400, guys. Come on, give me a 1,400.
Help them out. You can find me over on Twitter at TylerMiller2496. I talk about different games and anime I've been playing. I was tweeting about games I've been playing, anime I've been watching. I'm getting my words mixed up. I tweeted this week about
visual novels are a thing. You can play your anime too.
That is true. I was tweeting this week about The Promised Neverland because I watched season 1 and really enjoyed it. Read the manga because I heard season 2 was a dumpster fire. And I read the manga and I'm like, oh dear God, I can only imagine how badly they fumbled the bag. And then I read up how they fumbled the bag and I was like, dear Lord, they really fumbled the bag. Promised Neverland, really, really great. Really enjoyed it. So yeah, thank you all so very much for watching and or listening. Thanks, we'll talk with you all next time.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween. Yes, indeed. Happy Halloween. Get some candy, dress up, and have fun. But stay safe.
Get some Reese's. Have a good time.
See you all.